Welcome to the Friday Fenix, the only news show in the world, except for all the other ones. In our top story tonight, the January 6th committee says they have enough evidence to refer Florida man Donald Trump for criminal prosecution. Now they just need to vote on forming a committee to request the paperwork to consider doing that, if there's room in the Q3 budget. It's a tangled process, but the Friday Fenix has actually obtained inside details on what's going to happen next.
Ain't nothing gonna happen.
In legal proceedings actually moving forward news, a Texas woman was arrested for having an abortion, jailed, indicted by a grand jury, released on bond, had her case reviewed by the DA, and dismissed, all within the time span of a week. But sure, take your time charging Donald Trump, January 6th committee. He's probably got some important golfing to do first. Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, who alleged a campaign of voter fraud during the 2020 election, turned out to be right. Because he was doing the voter fraud. He who smelt it, am I right? One of Donald Trump's lawyers went to Wisconsin last month to try and decertify Biden's win in the 2020 election. Meanwhile, our old friend Marjorie Taylor Greene said we should get over the January 6th riot because it only happened once. Sure, we'll be happy to stop litigating the past, but how about you go first? And speaking of old Marge, she might get barred from Congress for supporting the insurrectionists. And I completely disagree with that decision. I think she should be barred from Congress for being batshit insane. Let's switch over to French election news. Can we put on the French filter, please? Okay, great, thanks. The French presidential election has moved on to round 2, where les candidats du jour will compare mistresses while chain-smoking until a clear winner is declared. But what does it matter anyway? Life is an empty jar of wine with only cigarettes to help the children smile. Let's turn now to business news, where it's a fun time for the economy. In response to economic pressures, Walmart is now offering its truck drivers 6-figure salaries. While some are surprised, industry insiders have been predicting a massive wage hike ever since the truck stop hookers unionized back in 2018. Speaking of people who need unions, a recent report showed that Amazon workers suffered 49% of all the injuries in the entire warehouse industry last year. But Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos paid $5.5 billion last year to spend 4 minutes in outer space. I just wanted to point that out. In other suborbital news, NASA is testing a space catapult that would fling objects into space at 5,000 miles per hour. Could we start with Ron DeSantis? Back here on Earth, Elon Musk is now trying to buy Twitter for $43 billion. Elon, I have a better idea. Why not buy Fox News instead and dismantle it piece by piece? I don't have a joke here, it's just a good idea. Folks, the world of work is rapidly changing. This week, we're going to take a deep dive into that thing you do for 8 hours a day in our news segment, Deep Dive, Hardly Workin'. A lot of people are heading back into the office these days, which means lunchtime options are looking a little different. What do healthy office meals look like when you're back to only having a microwave? Chef Austin is here with some ideas.
Hi, and welcome to the Friday Fenix cooking column. Today we're going to talk about a subject that's near and dear to my heart as of recently, now that my jerkhole boss is making me go back to work instead of working from home, where I'm just totally productive. And, well, here's the question that's been on a lot of people's minds. What do I do for lunch now that I don't have my own kitchen to deal with? Well, the simple answer is, on your first day back at work, you're going to really want to cook to impress. So, fish. That's right, we're going to make a nice fish. I have selected a branzino, and I have stuffed it with a bouquet garni for fish. That's parsley, tarragon, thyme, and some thin sliced lemon wedges, all shoved in there. And then we coated it with some oil, a little salt and pepper, sealed it up with a skewer. And now what we're going to do is leave this out overnight to really bloom and get those flavors going. And when you get to work tomorrow, you're going to want to bring this in a nice sealed bag, and about 11:30, just before your boss goes into his executive break room to have his lunch, go ahead and sneak in there, pop this guy into the microwave in there for, I don't know, try 15 minutes or so. You're going to want to take some time with it while you sneak out the back and have a sandwich outside where it's nice. I like the Central Market ones. They're delicious. And remember, when you're done with your sandwich or your lunch break's over, come back inside. Don't forget to complain to HR about the quality of the atmosphere in there. It just smells so awful. there's no way this can be healthy. You might just have to go back home and do your work from there. Anyway, glad we could help. Have a great one. Back to you, Andrea.
All right, thanks, Austin. That sounds, fragrant. But while some people are headed back into the office, others are heading out as the Great Resignation continues. Speaking of which, do you guys mind if I do a quick exit interview? Shouldn't take long. Jen, are you there?
Yes, Andrea, I'm here.
Well, on behalf of the Friday Phoenix, we wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. But first, just wanted to ask you a few questions about your time here.
Ready when you are.
Okay, so first, what are your reasons for leaving?
How about the time that you said we were doing a team building exercise by power washing your driveway, but I was the only one who was there?
Sometimes there is an I in team.
And what about the time you said that we were doing some animal husbandry and you had me singing Marvin Gaye songs while 2 cows got it on?
That was part of our continuing education series.
What about the time I asked you for some constructive feedback and you said, stop being such a whiny bitch? Constructive enough for you?
I can see how that could have been misinterpreted.
And we don't need to open every meeting with 2 shots of tequila. It's 9 a.m.
But one of our core brand values is tipsiness.
This exit interview is over, and so is this job. Peace out.
All right, great. Now I can use that feedback to make no changes at all. I look forward to not self-reflecting in any way. An author was banned from reading his book, It's Okay to Be a Unicorn, to Ohio children. Anonymous informants tell us that the books had rainbows and therefore might melt the children's faces like Nazis looking in the Ark of the Covenant. So, just to be clear, a book with a rainbow requires immediate government intervention, but mass shootings only rate thoughts and prayers? Researchers have now rejuvenated a 53-year-old woman's skin cells so that they're more like a 23-year-old's. The skin cells have celebrated by drinking White Claws while getting a tramp stamp. Lake Mary Jane, and I should point out that I'm not alluding to drugs here, is suing the developers that want to convert a portion of its land into mixed-use space. Mary Jane, the lake, not marijuana, looks a bit like a woman's head in profile and is joined in the suit by another lake, a marsh, and 2 streams. Wait, am I sure this doesn't have something to do with drugs? A woman blamed her IBS for her role in a car crash. Sounds like shit got real. Texas Governor Greg Abbott is busing migrants to Washington, D.C., apparently forgetting that they're human beings with thoughts and feelings and lives and not human-sized props in a culture war, and that they might have left their homeland because things were really shitty and they wanted a better life for themselves and their families, and not for the express purpose of pissing him off. I recently had the pleasure of meeting a refugee family, and let me tell you, these people are brave as fuck, and if Greg Abbott doesn't know what to do with them, well, I do. Make a donation now to Refugee Services of Texas so we can say welcome instead of ignoring a problem that's not going away. And finally tonight, Georgia residents are being warned about an invasive lizard species that eats, quote, almost anything. Man, I had my money on an asteroid hitting us, but okay, hungry lizards work too, Whatever floats your apocalyptic boat, just hurry it up. That wraps up this week's episode of the Friday Phoenix. Join us next week because there's always more news to peruse.
Your efforts are valid, but I don't think you can step up to the challenge. Your efforts are valid, but I don't think you can step up.